Hello, trading is closed on August 11, 2020. We'll do our disclaimer, then go over our calls. This is my plan for tomorrow. If you want to risk your money on it, do so at your own risk. Have any opinion, you can say it, just give the reason. Call was for the pattern with the early high, and there it is. Typically, it's a rally day closing near the high. Failure is a straight line drop, and that is failure. As we said yesterday, failure like this tends to lead to lower prices tomorrow. Only invalidating this by gapping and taking out this high promptly would kill the pattern. It's pretty unlikely at this point. We gapped up, hit a higher high, closed under all of them. Not only did we do that, we closed under multiple lows, and that is trouble. Here's what we said, and the pattern doesn't close near the high, it's bearish for the next day. Here's failure, a straight line drop. Been looking for a drop for some time. We've been saying caution is warranted, but not precise in the timing. We also said the market likes to make everybody believe it'll go up forever and then drop like a stone, so that seems to be what's going on. During the day, MEJT gave a few signals. We got an ultimate sell signal, that obviously worked. Ultimate buy signal, that pattern remains outstanding. The buy signal worked because the target printed immediately. So even though you got a buy signal, the buy signal just means a target at a higher price, and when it prints there's resistance. So the buy signal doesn't mean buy, it means you're at resistance when it prints. This drop doesn't meet the sustainability criteria and should return to this line. Now MEJT, remember, practically always leaves failed target or targets right at the high or low when it makes a major change in trend. So one of the missing pieces of the puzzle for this rally like to end was we needed a failed target right around the high, and if this is the high, then these qualify. Now we showed this 2 days ago. We showed the demarked 913 sell signals for combo in green and sequential in blue. We said they could recycle or they could go to 913.9. The last of the bars can finish early, so we got 913.9 sell signals on combo and sequential right at the high in his work. This line's an old TDST line from way back near the old high, and that's resistance in his work. Now I'll grant you his stuff hasn't worked very well, but if it works this time, it speaks for trouble. And if it's going to be a real tank, you really should undercut this TDST line by the end of the week. And that number is 3204.13. So if that holds by the end of the week, the odds improve, any decline here won't be too bad. But if this falls, according to him, then there should be a lot more downside coming. We showed this chart yesterday. We had the junction point of these lines. We said either you have a gap over the line or the line wins. We did have a gap, but to qualify as a gap, it has to stay by the end of the day. Early on, we traded under yesterday's high, so there was no gap. You'll see that here. If it'll let me show you, I will. Right under here, we traded under this high. So from here on in, the expectation was the line was going to win. As we say, the market likes to make everybody believe it'll go up forever and then pull the rug out from under you. Here's our familiar channel. There's nothing requiring us that I have to gap under this line tomorrow. But if we do, it would be pretty hard to see how there'd be a recovery. Pretty hard to see how this wasn't the end of the leg. All we have to do would be to hold it by the end of the day and trade under it by 1 cent the next day. You can see a lot of Fibonacci targets here. Here's your high. You take this low, the low in front of it, this high, there's a fib hit. You take this low in front of it, that high, you get a hit. Take this low in front of it, that high, there's your hit. So we have strong fib resistance. Here's a trend line. All the resistance at that high. We had this magenta B here, but if you move it over to here, the idea stays intact and you got C equal to half A. Here's 50%, and that's C. And that's A right on the nose. Of course, other patterns worked as well, and the market just kept going up, and that's why you need confirmation. But this whole thing looks pretty ugly to me, because that's a pretty impulsive move. And if we're in wave blue C down, you want impulsive moves. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early high. We could gap down nonetheless. Failure of the pattern to close near its high should lead to a further decline tomorrow. Only gapping and overtaking today's high would kill the call. We gapped up at a new recovery high, then we closed under multiple lows. So particularly bearish pattern. All we have to do is to trade enter today's close by 1 cent for confirmation. But there are higher targets, so we have to apply the mixed signal rules, and there's a good chance of a gap and a prompt move outside today's range. The real issue is whether this marks the end of the leg up. It's an excellent candidate. We still have to undercut some prior lows for confirmation. We had other candidates that looked pretty good. I don't think any of them looked as good as this one. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high. If we close under 32.04 something by the end of the week, there should be a lot more downside coming. We'll have to see whether or not that happens, but this looks like trouble to me, and that's today's call.